Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to another installment of Fuse Meets. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to click that little button and it's got a word on it that says subscribe. I'm sorry, I have to do it. And follow us across all social media channels to stay ahead. Right, so today I am super excited to have Michelle here from Tweed. How are you doing, Michelle? How are you doing today? I know it's early for you.
Well, it's bright and early here in New York City. Freezing New York City after a snowstorm. So glad to be here with everyone. Hopefully everyone's tuning in, not too early for them. But thanks for having me.
No worries. So just, if you don't mind, Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself and your kind of like brief background. I'd just like to get to know the person I'm talking to and to let the Fuse community also get to know the people behind the projects. Like, how did you get into this Web3 world? Give us a bit of background about yourself and yeah, tell us a bit.
Definitely. So Michelle, I'm originally from Israel, but I've been in New York for about 10 years.
Okay.
And my background is both on the technical side, but also on the strategy, finance. Started in cybersecurity, intelligence back in my days. Worked at startups, worked in banking here in New York. And my last role before Tweed, I was actually at under Google Engineering, working on infrastructure and connecting infrastructure scalability to actually dollar capacity, potential capacity, kind of efficiency savings. So that was my into blockchain actually in late 2017. Being at the place where it's kind of like the pinnacle of how to get efficiency through centralization of compute. I was seeing this network grow and I was fascinated and started reading and doing a lot of research on my own. And when time came, it was obvious to me that I want to build in that space.
Wow, that's a really cool journey as well. So your history is very in depth and kind of embedded in what we're discussing here as well. So that's great for people to know and hear. And that's why I like to do that little bit as well, so the community can get to know the founders. And okay, cool. So with that, let's dive right into Tweed. And just to set the scene a little bit, what Fuse is pushing is Web3 payments. And this experience of Web3 payments is the narrative is growing. And people need mobile first and user-friendly, intuitive wallet infrastructure. That's the most essential thing. And Tweed provides the infrastructure layer which bridges blockchain and mainstream users, which sounds very idyllic, and that's why we're going to discuss it. And it does that through its technology and its low-code SDK, which we will link out later as well. So Tweed is what's known as an operator in the Fuse ecosystem, which means that developers on Fuse can embed the Tweed wallet and use it in their platform to offer transactions and loyalty schemes on Fuse. Okay, so I've given you the little 411. Let's dive right in and let Michelle do the rest of the talking. I will be quiet. So give us a little overview of Tweed and its mission, Michelle. Like, what can Tweed do and how does Tweed work?
Definitely. So Tweed, we're wallet as a service and payment infrastructure. We work with any company building on blockchain that wants to attract mainstream users and want to onboard and monetize users in a more efficient, easier, seamless way. And most importantly, wants to remain compliant in this crazy evolving ecosystem, global ecosystem. So today, Tweed provides two products. We provide wallet as a service that helps users onboard compliantly and natively into experiences without connecting a wallet. We create a wallet for them in the background. They can secure it with social logins. The wallets are 100% self-custodial. So from a compliance standpoint, the platform that integrates us really can offer any type of digital asset worldwide and remain compliant without holding any licenses. The wallet itself, you could think about it as build your own wallet. We provide everything as an SDK function. So the platform integrating can essentially pick and choose the functionality that makes sense for them and put their own UI on top of it. They can call it, a blockchain wallet, or they can call it a profile. And they can only expose the relevant features for their use case. So let's say you're a game developer and you have NFTs on platform, but you don't have anything related to cryptocurrency. You don't have to show your balance in cryptocurrency. So it's a very kind of customized approach and very native approach, puts our brand in the background and let the brand kind of not create a very fragmented experience for their user, and B, obviously not educate their user, control how much they want to educate their user about blockchain. I will say we're true self-custodial solution. So the functionality to educate the user, to give them their private key, to let them export their wallet, to let them use this interoperability functions are there, but it's up to how the platform integrates it. So that's on the wallet side. I see you have some questions. So
No. Like I'm just kind of agreeing and nodding that it's so important to have that side of it, the kind of off-the-shelf solution, so that, as you say, if you're building an NFT product, you don't need to convolute that with the crypto side of things. That's brilliant. Like, so sorry, just thinking out loud on that one. Continue.
Definitely. I think that, and we'll speak a little bit about the space and competition and what sets us apart, but I think that creating a product that truly lives on the infrastructure level, something truly unique, and that enables this real flexibility of use cases, of UI, of really different user flows that companies have, that we enable with our product.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very essential, and it's becoming the narrative of the day that companies want to plug into Web3 and Web3 payments, but they don't have the development resources. They maybe perhaps don't even have the understanding to go a little bit scary, perhaps even just from a basic level, like diving into a new world. So having it outlined like that is brilliant. Okay,
sure.
so
You touched on a really important point as well. The fact that we are a developer tool, so we are catering for developers. It's not only easy for users to onboard, but it's also easy for developers to integrate. They don't need to have much blockchain knowledge or much Web3 development knowledge. They can adjust the integration very easily. It's we're chain agnostic, so if they want to add chain, remove chain, the integration itself doesn't change. It's a very flexible tool for the developers as well. And I didn't mention all the payment side, which is the other half of our business. I think it's pretty straightforward, but today we enable credit card checkout for NFTs, for in-platform tokens, as well as a kind of a gasless free minting ability for NFTs. So we're still working, to grow our payment side, but today already it's probably the most intricate kind of features and flexibility. We provide different settlement options for merchants, and it's various smaller features that really enable this very deep customization of payments as well.
Yeah, and like you say, like for the developers in the sort of Web2 world, it's not a difficult leap for them to work with these solutions, is it? And I think just from scouting around on your docs, you actually offer a lot of ways to kind of get involved at a kind of testing level, don't you? I've seen that on the docs, like to implement things. Yeah. So
again, it's a developer tool. You can go on our website, create sandbox keys on our console, look at the docs, and start playing around. Integrating should not take very long, and I think that in general, if you are having any trouble, we give class A support, which is something we're extremely proud of. So try it out.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's very important. So obviously building those things, I mean, the next question I kind of have, and we're going to dive into the specifics that we mentioned there in the next part, but I just want to know, like, what inspired you to kind of build Tweed, and like, what kind of challenges did you face building such a solution,
Definitely. I think it was we're about a year-old company, and it was quite the year for everyone. I think everyone can acknowledge. We started this journey, myself and my two co-founders, really with the strong belief that blockchain is the right infrastructure to innovate cross-border payments. Really ties into Fuse and the ecosystem. We also have this real passion to make a change there, to make a difference, and to help companies globally, kind of more B2B and intercompany with their cross-border payments. I'll say that the biggest challenge we faced in our first few months, as we spoke to like 300 companies, is, well, we did realize there is a pain point. The market is just not there yet. Regulation still holds those companies back from even being able to integrate this infrastructure, from operating with digital assets the way they want. And in some corridors, also not creating a super lean and super efficient money movement ability. So I think we're still behind in a lot of way, obviously, on regulation, and given the down market, and also kind of the entire kind of name that crypto got in last year, it was a very difficult product to sell to the big Web2s. And I think it was a big moment that hit us that said, that's what interests us. That's where we're here to solve. We're positive, this is where the world is going, and this is the direction, but it's not the time. So what is the time? What did we hear from those companies that they want and need right now?
Yeah.
And a lot of it was from the companies that are already experimenting with blockchain, was around, it's great. We launched this great campaign last year, but we didn't get to the KPIs we wanted. We
Okay.
couldn't monetize the users as much as we could. And frankly, like our compliance department now tells me that I might need to hold licenses or that this. So I'm not really sure if I want to even keep this product going, because I'm not really sure about, where
Yeah.
it puts me in a compliance state. So all of those things together is what brought us to kind of package our infrastructure a bit differently, and to shift our go-to-market, to shift our product, and to build Tweed to what it is today. So I think that was kind of our journey. Obviously, tons of difficult moments on the way, but I think once we reach that kind of niche and that fit, and even within this niche of helping companies onboard users, I'll tell you today that we still have some areas that we still shine more than others,
Yeah.
and it's an evolving process. But I think that now it's definitely we found our place and our niche, and it's and yeah, so that's been the journey.
That's really like, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's the natural sort of journey of any new company in its 12 months. And people might get the idea that everything's very easy and shiny and straightforward, but it is absolutely not. So thank you for sharing that story. And it's interesting to hear that, yeah, ahead of the market slightly, ahead of the trend, but I, like you, see that growing narrative of payments via non-custodial wallets, and this a growing desire by consumers to have this as well. So retail and business will have to pay attention, right? So it's an important part. All right, cool. Let's so operating in sort of wallet as a service, how do you see it? Like, where do you see it getting to in the next kind of? We said we're early. How do you see the industry evolving in the coming years, and how are you guys like
Yeah,
positioned? Well, how do you see it? Like,
we can spend the full hour, I think, talking just about this question. So I'll be concise. I'll tell you kind of my 2 cents.
yeah,
Wallets in general is a very interesting space
yeah,
right now, and in general. Um, the movement from more of the consumer wallets to the infrastructure wallets is something we've seen very strongly this year, because of this need for better UX, and because of this need of actually integrating blockchain as part of the infrastructure, not rather just in the front of the
yeah,
application. I think consumer wallets will still remain, but I think there'll be a lot of consolidation in that space, which makes sense. On the infrastructure side, I think what's the direction it's taking is that essentially every device that we own will have to have wallet embedded in their infrastructure, because that's what would allow you to operate, and your wallet will become your digital identity. So whether you use your consumer wallet between as your identity as you move, that could be your option, but companies would have to offer the infrastructure for you to identify yourself via their own infrastructure,
yeah,
kind of like they have today.
yeah.
So that's where wallets as a service will really plug into.
Mhm.
And I think the real winners here are ones that can really ace user experience, the ones that can really ace compliance, and that can provide the flexible enough solution that is adaptable to different devices, different environments,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, the
yeah, and different use cases.
one.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. The one that feels natural in your hands as well. Like when you open an application today, you kind of need it to operate in that way. As consumers are going to be, I mean, why would they go for something that's not better than what they've got, right? Like that's something I hear over and over again. So super
Yeah.
important. Okay, so you're well positioned, and I think we should dive into the kind of specifics as well. So in terms of the partnership with Fuse, what we're here to talk about in that regards, and I'll just cover it very quickly, is that Tweed is available for developers on Fuse to build. And a moment ago we were talking about Web2 companies, and Fuse goes pretty hard on talking about businesses and merchants and that side of the equation. Is there anything stopping, for example, a Web3 game from using the Tweed wallet? Because it's perfect for microtransactions, right? So we're not saying here, we're not pigeonholing Tweed at all. I just want to be clear. Anybody developing in Web3 could utilize this wallet as a good user-friendly solution, right?
100%. It's a very good distinction you made. So while we do operate a lot in the Web 2 space because compliance is such a key thing for them,
Yeah.
we obviously do a lot in Web 3, especially in gaming. There's a lot to do there. And frankly, today, any company, whether it is crypto native or not, launching any product that's consumer facing on blockchain, has to integrate some sort of solution like this. It's not instead of the ability to connect a wallet, it's an addition. And if each one of those platforms today needs to increase their user base, whether it is like traditional gamers, or in any other application. They need to grow their user base. They need to monetize a larger group, and they need to give more options. So I agree. It applies to everyone. If you're a Web3 native developer, it definitely applies to you as well.
That's it, right? Yeah, I just wanted to make that distinction because we tend to go down this business avenue pretty strongly, but there's obviously the Web3 avenues that we probably don't talk about them because they're so obvious to us, right? But we need to get them out there as well. So, okay, cool. So the partnership with Fuse is that and just that. So it's an early stage partnership. And as we say, this is a call to developers to start integrating with Tweed and start using Tweed and checking out its functionality. And there's a lot of ways to do that quickly using their docs as well. So let's talk about there's a lot of wallets out there, right, Michelle? There's a lot of people trying to crack this egg. What sets Tweed apart from the competitors in the market? Like, let's go through some of the sort of specific features.
For sure. I think to make it, more concise, I'll talk about, 3 different bullet points. The first thing, which I think it's crucial, and that's why I repeated it multiple times already, is the compliance element. So our wallets and the way we do key management, while we keep user experience, top and like very, again, seamless for users, from the background, our architecture is actually 100% self-custodial, which means that we as Tweed nor you as a platform integrating have any touch point with the private key of the user. Only the user can actually access their wallet, access their funds, sign transactions. While we do provide a lot of features that enable this smoother user experience, like, setting a spending limit so you don't have to sign every transaction, and so on, we still maintain throughout the whole time authentication and message signing, the true ideals of self-custody, which, is important from an idealistic perspective, but it's mostly important from a regulatory perspective, because it means that gaming companies or e-commerce companies or even small payment companies that don't hold licenses just don't need to think about what it means from a regulatory perspective. And we all have seen, how Mika in Europe or PSA in France or any, of the Asian countries already stated in the their first draft of regulation, it will require you to hold licenses. And none of us sees, those companies starting to go about acquiring custody licenses. So the other option is to opt for a solution that enables them this, quiet mind and this offload of this regulatory burden, which can only be done with true self-custody. So that's what we offer. So I think that's one that's key, because it really, there's no other solution that does it the way we do.
Yes.
So that's one. I'll say the second thing is really the level of the native experience. So everything we provide, from wallets to payments, really has the most minimal UI that we compliantly need to enable this flexibility for users, for developers, for brands as they build, to customize the user journey, to put their brand on top, to really have full control of what the user sees and what they, how much they know of the blockchain versus not. And then the third thing, which we didn't speak much about, but we provide a holistic solution. So onboarding users is awesome, but then if you can't monetize them, then you tell them to on-ramp to crypto, you did only half the job. Mm-hmm. So that's why our payment solution is key, I think, to providing this end-to-end kind of experience for developers, for platforms, and the ability to let users then pay with their preferred payment method is important. And we do that today globally. Like I said, we support flexible settlement. So if the gaming platform or the brand or the fintech wants to receive their payments in fiat to their bank account, we provide that ability globally. If they want to receive it in crypto to the smart contract, we can facilitate that. If they want to settle in any ERC20 token, we support that. So it's very flexible tool and enables this all different scenarios. So I think these 3 things together is what makes our solution very unique from the rest of them.
That's pretty comprehensive list of things. I like that, Michelle. It's interesting. All right, cool. So I mean, the innovation side of things is really critical here. And like we said earlier, we're at an early stage with it as well. So things are going to evolve further. Things will become more relevant and less relevant, perhaps, as well. In terms of the company, you're running Tweed, you're the CEO. Can you kind of share, this is a bit of a different question, away from the tech side a little bit, but Web3 leadership is key in any organization, but Web3 more than anything, I think, because it's such a young industry. Can you share anything that perhaps you picked up along your way working towards this Web3 space? Any principles, how you guide your team when you're thinking about what you're doing here? Like you touched on it earlier with the challenges and things, but anything that you can offer to other people in your situation or aspiring leaders?
Yeah. I mean, I'll separate your question to two. There's the leadership, and then there's the leadership in Web3.
Yeah, two different things
I
totally.
mean, they go hand in hand
No, you're right.
from my philosophy, at least. So I'll even give you an anecdote. So I was in the military, like I said, my mandatory service maybe 12 years ago. And we had this very interesting custom that whenever we had very important meetings with different intelligence agencies, you would not wear the top part of your uniform, so you don't see your rank, so no one sees your ranks. So when we're in a discussion, everyone is equal and everyone's voice is equal. And even the little person that just joined 3 months ago can voice their thoughts without, feeling like they're the, young person in the room. And I think in general, this is the way I view leadership. I think leadership is a lot around listening. Listening to your employees, listening to your customers, listening to your partners and your board. And this is where I connected to Web3. I think in Web3 specific, you have to listen to the space and the market. And you have to be with, always one ear open and understanding the trends, the technology, how it evolves, how the business line evolves, different business, different channels that open up for sales, for partnerships. You really have to be at the edge of your seat, like and ready.
7, right?
Yeah, and I think that if it's not the type of founder you are, then this space is just less for you. I think this is where it's still a wild west. I call it, we're still on the race to the starting line of everything.
Yeah.
And if you're not truly open-minded for change, for pivoting, then you will lose out. You'll miss out the train. So I think this is kind of my 2 cents.
That's a really good 2 cents. I'd say it's more like $1 worth there. That's really good. I like that. The example you gave at the beginning, that's really cool because it levels the playing field, right? There's no kind of people are not looking around thinking, oh, I can't speak. And I agree with you 100%. I'm not the biggest fan of hierarchies in that sense when it comes to ideas and discussion and logic and things. I think everybody should have an equal voice.
Hierarchies are important for decision making. There's a reason companies have their own, structure, and it's important. Yes. I also think it's important to have like a face and a leadership, like a very clear leadership. But discussions and those kind of like where companies can really like grow, those moments have to be flat. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. The hierarchy is there for a reason, but I agree with the point that you make. Yeah, for sure. It's okay, cool. So I think we've covered about what Tweed is and what Tweed does and what developers in the Fuse ecosystem can do with Tweed. I think one thing I've really probably said too many times, I'm going to say again, is that people can try this out in a very simplistic and easy way by just heading over to the docs, which I have got right there. So there's easy ways to get going, right? This shouldn't be, like I said earlier, I think it's quite a scary hill to climb for a lot of businesses. They're a bit like, oh, what's the first stage? Like, I'm scared. And the other thing I would say is, Michelle, for people who are perhaps a little bit apprehensive, can they reach out to you guys for consultations, to have a chat? Like, are you guys open for that?
Definitely. I think I said that before. We pride ourselves on the support we give, from small platforms to large platforms. Pre-sale, post-sale, we're here to talk. We're here to help. If you go to paytweed.com, you'll have a button to book a meeting with us. Feel free to do that. If you want to explore by yourself, it's very easy integration. You simply go to our developer console, generate your sandbox keys, look at our docs, and look at our public GitHub examples, clone them, run them, play around. It really should not take more than a few hours of your work, even for someone seeing this for the very first time. So you should feel very comfortable as any level of developer to experiment with this, and feel extremely comfortable to reach out to me, to us, with any question. I'm sure my contact info is somewhere here, but paytweed.com will also let you kind of book a meeting with us directly.
Awesome. So you guys heard that. You can get in touch. You can start experimenting and playing. And then if you run into any issues or you just want to have more conversation, just reach out to the team. I'll put all the information, all the contact details in the video description afterwards. And okay, so the biggest thing for these sessions is that what can people do now, today, to action what they've listened to? That's what Michelle's just gone through. Head over to the docs. I'll put the link over here for you. If you get stuck there, reach out to those guys and they will assist. All right, cool. So businesses that want to offer Tweed's wallet as a service can now operate on Fuse and extend payments and token transfers on the network. Transactions in Fuse are cheap, so it's a good option. And they take place instantaneously. So this is really geared up towards SMEs, merchants, and small businesses as well. So that's the kind of crux of the integration. And I'm sure, Michelle, actually, last question. What's on your agenda for 2024? Anything massive that you want to, well, not massive, but anything interesting you want to get out there? Any alpha?
Wow. Again, another hour. Yeah, tons of very cool stuff that we're working on. We are expanding our payments offerings. We're growing our kind of the flexibility around our key management and what different scenarios it can support. We added authentication that's already out. We're revamping our console, revamping our SDK. It's a lot of new changes that are happening actually even in the first quarter of the year. So you should really keep in touch and keep looking and stay tuned. It's going to be a big year 2024.
Awesome. Yeah, I can feel it to be a big year. Well, we're moving in the right direction of the market, so that's a positive, right? So we've waited long enough, I think, Michelle.
For sure.
All right. So I want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much. I know it's very early for you, and I really appreciate you getting up and dealing with all the life things that come with a 7 a.m. wake up. Thank you so much. For the guys and girls listening, I hope you've learned something today about Tweed and you understand this solution a little bit better. As we've said, I will repeat it. Please go check out the docs. Please go and check out what they have on offer. It is there to be played with, so feel free. All right, thank you, Michelle. Is there anything else you want to sign off with? Anything else?
No, we're super excited for the new use cases that the Fuse ecosystem can bring. Very bullish on those use cases around payments, remittance, and anything of that sort. So please reach out if this is even semi-relevant for your project, and we could talk about it.
That's it, right? And as Michelle says, there are lots of exciting projects coming to the Fuse ecosystem this year. Q1 is going to be packed. We're just kind of lining it all up at the moment, and then it's going to be thrown out there for you guys to start digesting. So hold tight. Lots of new stuff coming very soon. All right. Thank you once again to everybody watching. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Ian.
See you all later.
Bye.